What keeps you going when you don't actually know if things are going to be okay? Not knowing is the hardest part, isn't it? Especially when you're in the middle of something and you can't see a way out of it and you don't know what's going to happen or if it's going to change. And sometimes there's a feeling that's sitting between, I can't do this anymore, and okay, I'll try again tomorrow. And that's what we call hope. So today I want to talk about hope and how it features in our nervous systems. And I'm not talking about the fluffy feeling of hope. I'm talking about that very real feeling that stays in our system and that shows up when we're in this really hard space, in the middle of that hard space. And how we can pause with it and grow it. Welcome back to the 3-Minute Pause podcast. My name is Maniza, and today we're talking about hope and how hope can help us find a way forward, even when we don't have the answers just yet. Hope is such a fleeting emotion, isn't it? It feels like a fleeting emotion. It often comes, and then we feel like if we don't grab hold onto it, or if we don't pin it down, it's going to disappear into the ether. When you're in the middle of life transitions and changes, and you don't know how it's going to turn out, that is a really hard place to be. And it's filled with uncertainty, and oftentimes all the parts of us that come up are the critical parts, the scared parts, the angry parts, the frustrated parts, the parts of us that feel out of control. And when all of these parts come together, it can feel like absolute mayhem and chaos, not only happening around you and outside of you, but most certainly inside of you. And so when we're in the middle of uncertainty, it's very hard to find grounding, and it's very hard to find connection to ourselves. And that's the most important part about being dysregulated, isn't it? Because when we have all that chaos, that's what's dysregulating us. All of the thoughts and the stories and the anxieties about who we are and if we're going to survive this and how we're going to survive this and are we going to get through this moment. All of those emotions are at play. And so when we're in the middle of the hard moments of life, that's when the chaos is the loudest. And that's when we're the most dysregulated. You don't get one emotion at a time, let's put it that way. You don't feel an emotion of frustration and then it passes, and then you get sadness and then that passes, and then you get angry or feel out of control and then that passes. They often flow one into the other, and that's the other part that makes them really, really overwhelming, because you're often feeling more than one of those feelings at the same time. And maybe not all of them in 100%. So you're not feeling angry 100% or frustrated 100% or sad 100%. But you're feeling enough of a percentage of each and every one of them that when they come together, yeah, it feels brutal. Absolutely. And yet we find ourselves, and you've been here, I've been here, we've all been here, where we're in the middle of something. Suddenly we get this glimpse or this fleeting feeling that comes inside, and we think, oh, maybe, and the thought that comes, maybe I can do this, maybe I can change this, maybe I can surpass this, I can survive this, maybe. And that maybe is the most powerful moment that we have. But let's rewind to before the maybe, because before the maybe there is all of the dysregulation that happens, and the spiral and the anxiety, and then the feelings in our body just weigh us down. And when they weigh us down, it feels hard. It feels hard to sometimes move forward when you don't know how something is going to turn out. Because we're creatures of habit, right? We want certainty. We want guarantees. We want to know where something is going. And that's okay to want to know that, as long as you can recognize that wanting to know that doesn't replace the discomfort of certainty, of uncertainty rather. Meaning, you want to know what's going to happen with the job. You apply for a job and you're praying to God to get this promotion because it's really, really important to you. And yes, you want to know what the outcome is, But also learning to sit in the uncertainty has value. There's something important about that. There's something important about staying in that space and learning to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I say that a lot, learning to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the world is going to throw so many triggers at you. And we all have so many triggers. We all have so many big reactions to the world around us. We had tons of different emotions that we were feeling, tons of different emotions that we were experiencing. And if I haven't said it already, I'll say it again. Most of those emotions that we're experiencing are overlapping. And when they overlap, they can feel even more overwhelming. Because if you're sad and then that overlaps with anger, and then now suddenly you're in a rage, and that overlaps with frustration, and that overlaps with feeling really out of control, just that cycle in and of itself feels really, really chaotic, feels really, really hectic. So when we don't know what's going to happen and we have to live in uncertainty, we're constantly navigating waves of these different types of emotions, and they all keep popping up, and we pop in and out with them all the time. So the first thing that's really important to remember is that when you're going through uncertainty is try not to land on a single emotion. Let yourself run or coast the waves of each emotion, because all of them have a place, and all of them are telling a story, and all of them have something to say. And it's important what they have to say. And all of them need some airtime, but they don't need you to go into each one and dive all the way down to the depths of them and then get caught in that. You don't need to spiral into each and every one. What you need to do is just go, oh, okay, I'm angry now. Oh, okay, I'm sad now. Oh, okay, I'm frustrated now. And just ride the wave without trying to land on one emotion. Because that's what uncertainty does, right? We get caught up in this space and we go, right, if I just sit with my anger, then I know that I'm angry, then I can process that, feel that, and I can figure out a way to handle that or control that, and then get on with my day. And that's great. But a problem is that once you're sitting there with anger, it morphs into something else so fast. You haven't finished with anger, and now you're in the next one. And you just feel like you're being dragged from one emotion to the other because you're trying to control it and trying to come up with an answer because you feel out of control, right? And that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good to anybody. So spiraling into each emotion and trying to manage it and navigate it and pin it down so you can say, this is what I'm feeling, and then control it, is a recipe for disaster. The wave. You got to ride the wave. But here's where hope comes in. And hope is that emotion that is so powerful and sometimes elusive, but it's most certainly so powerful. Because hope is that moment where everything feels like it's coming to a head or it comes to a peak and you don't know what to do with all of it. And then you get this emotion that comes in and it's almost like it breaks up all these dark corners and it's like a ray of light. And in that ray of light is that feeling of, and that moment where your body goes, it's like a breath, a sigh out. And things seem lighter and they feel easier. And it feels like there's a way forward. It feels like there's a possibility. Let me remind you, you haven't landed on anything different. Nothing has changed. The facts of your situation have remained the same. You still don't know if you've got the job, right? If we're talking about that job, if we're talking about that promotion, if we're talking about that exam result, whatever we're talking about, you still don't know the answer. But suddenly you feel lighter. Suddenly you feel like there's space inside of you, like you can breathe a little bit, like you can see that there might be something else other than the spiral of all those deep, sometimes really dark emotions. And that's what hope is. It's the moment that the light shines into the dark corners and we feel lighter and we feel like there is a way forward. There's a possibility. And that's where the maybes come in. So now we're back to the maybes. Maybe I can. Maybe I can try something. Maybe I can do something. Maybe I can read something. Maybe I can. And whatever that is the moment of I have the ability to influence this. And not necessarily influence the outcome. Let me rephrase that. I have the ability to influence my emotions and how I'm reacting and responding to this particular moment in front of me, to the uncertainty, to the heartbreak, to the sadness, to how uncomfortable I'm feeling. Because change is uncomfortable, whether we like it or not, however big or small. We get a whole rush of emotions, and whether or not you feel them just really depends on how good you are at suppressing them. And if you're really good at suppressing your emotions, you're not going to feel them, or you're going to feel them to a very small percentage of what they really are. But if you are not so great at suppressing emotions, which by the way is a good thing, it's not a bad thing. If you're not good at suppressing, it means you're good at experiencing and feeling your emotions, which is where we want to go. We want to be experiencing and feeling our emotions all the time and learning to live with them. Then change is discombobulating. But the hope, when it comes, is the breath of fresh air. It's the cool wind on that beautifully hot summer's day. It's when it cools your skin. It's relief. So hope has a really, really important place in our regulation, because what it is doing is it's giving us a break. We get to take a break from the moments that feel really, really tough and really overwhelming. And the thing is, when hope comes, the criticism in your brain, the negative voices, the chatter, that dies down. It really starts to calm down. And it's a world of possibility. You can actually hear, and if you pause and listen, you can hear some of the things that you think about yourself. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. All those maybes are filled with possibility. And in some of them, we really stretch ourselves. We step out of our comfort zones and look at how important that thing is. How important is that job? How important is that exam result? What can I do? What more am I willing to do? How far am I willing to push myself so that I can make sure that this outcome happens the way I want it? Because that's how important that outcome is to me. So when we're hopeful, we get a flood of positive emotion. We get a flood of excitement, a surge of surprise, a surge of, oh, I think I can do this. And that's why hope is so important to regulation and to all of us learning to stay grounded and connected and coming back to ourselves. So this week's pause. This week's pause is to not suppress the hopeful emotion when it comes. And now that's the tricky part. Because when hope comes, if we're really, really scared, your first instinctive reaction is going to just literally do everything you can to suppress it and shove it down and go, no, 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 no. And that's where the pause comes in. So take a moment and lean in and just feel the hope. Just let it be there. Just allow the hope to be in your body. Surrender to it. Breathe in, breathe out, and just sit with it for as long as you can. If you can put 3 minutes on the clock and sit with it, wonderful. If not, any amount of time is great. Work up to your 3 minutes. So, sit with your hope and listen to what stories it tells you about how amazing you are and actually how capable you really are. And 3 minutes really can change everything. Thank you for hanging out with me today. For the pause, show notes, and more, please visit www.manisakimji.com.